Hello and welcome to episode 3 of my road to becoming good at putting. In this episode I'm going to stay with 6, 7 and 8 meters because, let's be honest, I still suck a little bit. There has been improvements. There has been lows.
Starting from day 35, it was feeling already so much better than before, and the hit ratio was showing it. I was still a bit inconsistent as my 8-meter putts were more off, but that was to be expected. Day 38 was still good as well, but something happened between the day and day 39. My body was feeling super sore and stiff, and like you can see from the numbers. After the day 40, it was clear that I needed some nice massage, and it did actually help. I started feeling so much better.
The last time I talked about the grip, but let's talk about the release point this time around.
Here we have 2 putts going in, but only one of them has the release points what I'm trying to get. Let's look closer. Here we have a good look at where my release point is, but to start analyzing we need to reference point. Here's the one we need, and let's freeze here. Now we mark the reference point with a green marker. I want my release point to be chest high as it gives a better view to where I am aiming. The golden rule is to follow through and keep your hand up so that you will see where the disc is flying. It can only go where you release it. Now let's take some of the missed putts and see where my release point is on those. And of course we keep the green marker for reference. We can see that my release point and sometimes the release itself is not consistent. I think that is the most important thing to fix in my form. If you have some ideas, please let me know in the comments.
But now let's take my putters and let's do a Yuli game.
Before we start talking about the results, I have to say that I did the Yuli game before getting the massage, so I was still feeling stiff, and it really showed in the hit ratio. 5 to 6 meters was okay, but more further it went, the harder it was hitting my release point with consistency. You can see that clearly from the hit ratios. I believe this is the worst Yuli game I have ever done, and it resulted in just 279 points. Like you can see from this picture, all my percentages were below the history numbers. So far it has not been going good, and from this chart we can see that every time the results have been going down. You probably have noticed that from this episode I'm using color coding on my crafts. I will be using red, grey and green colors to mark the difference between that day and current average before that day training. This will give a good look on if I'm improving or not. The next 3 days my hit ratios are not so great, but as you can see they are all green, so that is a progress. Especially I'm happy with my 6-meter performance, but the longer ones need some improvement. After that, next 3 days I was starting to feel a bit tired, and I was confusing why. You can see on the hit ratios that even improving lately, this time around the performance was average.
So it is finally day 48 of my challenge. I can't call it a challenge anymore, I will call it day 48 of my journey. And why? Because after day 47 I got the dengue fever.
Dengue fever is no joke. Before having any symptoms I was feeling weak and tired. When it finally hit, I got the fever, the headache and the nausea, and all my injuries in my joints flared up. The last 2 days were the worst, and I was not able to get out of the bed. But the symptoms faded really fast. Lesson learned, and we'll be using a lot of mosquito cream from now on.
So after 12 or 13 days without zero practice, it is kind of sketchy to do the Yuli game, but I'm excited to find out how it's been in the between time, how it's affected my body. I feel great, I feel 100% fine, but let's see what the putting is going to do.
I started the Yuli game feeling a bit sketchy, but the more I was throwing, the more comfortable I was feeling.
This time around I did not visit the 5-meter mark, what is a really very good sign. Like you can see on the graph, I was green on 6, 7 and 10 meters putts, gray on 8 and 9, this is really good. It resulted in a 352 points, what is above my average. Before this game my average was 338 points, and after the illness I should be happy with this result. My new average is 342 points and my record is still 402 points. After this game I decided to have second game as I was curious if I can do better, as I was feeling better than 352 points. My second game started off good. Most of my time I was on 6, 7 and 8 meter mark, but before the halfway mark I started getting really tired, so the game started looking weird. I made everything from 5 and 7 meters and then missed everything from 9 and 10 meters. Obviously that doesn't get good point score, so I ended up with only 310 points. For conclusion, here are the numbers before this episode. Like you can see, they are not something amazing, but considering how it has been, they are not actually that bad. Let's see how are my average after the 48 days. As you can see, there have been some improvements, but mainly thanks to the second yearly game, my longer putts average went down quite a bit. There is so much room for improvements and I can't wait to get back to it. So that was game 2 of Yuli. I'm going to be honest, super tired, only 200 plus putts and I feel exhausted. I think the illness has left me more than I bargained for, but it's a start and it's time to get back on the horse. It's looking good, it will be better, and I will see you in the next episode. Have a beautiful day, bye.